Hi, how you going? It's Rose from the Eloquent in the Room. Just checking in with you. It's been a couple of weeks since I launched the first two episodes of 2020, An Orgasmic Oddity. I'm getting some nice feedback, and God, I was in the room of mirrors for the longest time, like that inner critic. The fraud police was really harassing me for the longest time before I actually got game enough to put the podcast out in the first place. And now that it's out there, I'm dealing with the freak out, and I'm getting some nice responses. So I'm really happy. I'm very, very happy about that. So I'm having lovely conversations. People are sending me DMs, giving me nice feedback about what they're enjoying about it. And everybody's giving me a little bit of a different feedback about what they're enjoying. So I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled that people are enjoying it. And people have been asking questions too, which is exactly what I wanted. So further down the track, I will have a podcast that will be answering people's questions. So don't forget, you can send me a DM, or you can leave comments in anything that I post, or send me an email at theeloquentintheroom@gmail.com, or go to my website, theeloquentintheroom.com. I'm actually posting blog articles there at the moment. I posted one about my mental health journey of the last 3 years to get to the point of actually being brave enough to finally do something really solid in regards to this mission that I'm on to, create conversations that are a little bit different around things like love, sex, and mental health. Hence, starting off with a crazy sci-fi themed chapter by chapter expedition through the mythology, mystique, and complete misunderstandings that people have about female orgasm. And after that, I am going to move on to the subject of consent. Seems like I've got that backwards. Maybe I should have done consent before orgasm. Well, there's method in my madness, because I've peeled away the layers of certain misconceptions already, and now I feel like I'm in a good place to talk about a very simple thing like consent. Seems simple, but even these days it's probably in some ways more complex than it ever has been, because people are now aware that consent can be rescinded. Back in my day, when I was a young girl, my mum told me, be careful what you do when you're on a date, because you can go beyond a certain point and men can't be responsible for what happens after that. That's what I was told. We know better now. Anyway, there's campaigns happening in campuses all over the US, I believe, so I've read, that is changing the language around consent. And the campaign that they've got going now is, instead of having no means no, they're campaigning around the idea that yes means yes. Is that a big difference? I think it is, actually. I'm going to expand on this in due time, but I'd be really keen to hear what you think. If you want to leave some comments on this post, or send me a DM or an email, visit my website, whatever. The concept of consent. How do you feel about it? I'd love to hear from women who have in some ways transgressed or crossed that line in a way that we normally associate with the way men transgress or cross that line. I mean, we can't always only be talking about the dynamics of men feeling entitled. There's a lot of confusion out there in regards to what actually constitutes consent. Yes means yes. So what does that mean? Does it mean we're actually meant to be asking permission all the time? Probably. Even for the most simple thing, definitely. So yeah, that's a little starter kit for you, idea wise, if you want to give me your feedback around that. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to talk about consent and see how many episodes I get out of that. Could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be 4. Who knows? It's complicated. I reckon it's really complicated. And it does marry up with the orgasm theme that I've had so far, because that entire thing has been mainly about encouraging women to give themselves consent to enjoy themselves more, to give themselves consent to ask for more, to give themselves consent to not feel bad about what they're doing. And I mean, no shame, you know, no moral sense of anything, you know. When are we going to grow up? Anyway, on that bright and breezy note, thank you very much so far for people who have listened to the podcast and who has shared the podcast and who has commented. Word of mouth. Look, I'm operating on a shoestring. I'm operating on a sock, and I'm just hoping to get the word out by word of mouth, and that's up to people who are friends of mine or contacts or people who stumble on this to do me a favour and get on the podcast websites, leave comments, rate, and tell your friends about it. So thank you to everyone who's done that so far. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the questions. I'm going to cry. No, I really am. I really am very happy about how it's going so far. But now I've got to get my digit extracted and get back to work. Can't all be promotion. This is hard work when you're your own promotion person and your own creator and your own director and your own tech person and your own ideas person. So I've got the windowsill check-ins and the headwear. This is a beautiful bespoke. Well, it's not bespoke. Is it bespoke if someone makes something for you and it's their idea how it pans out, or is it bespoke when you ask something to be made for you and you tell them how you want it? Anyway, I didn't know what this was going to turn out when I asked my friend Denise to make me a hat. But how cool is it? It's winter here, and we're pretty cool about wearing hats and masks in Australia. So, yeah, wishing everybody who looks at this is well and happy, and thank you for watching it, and listen to the Eloquent in the Room podcast. There's a link in my bio on my page that sends you to the link tree, which sends you to iTunes, Stitcher, Google, all that stuff, to my website and to all that stuff. Promotion. It's weird. You can't see my excess skin. Promotion is weird. I feel weird. But I've got hats to make me feel less weird.